Can't hear me. Why? You can't hear us?
Hello?
No, can't hear you.
Hmm.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Good morning.
Is it mute on the
Mm-mm.
computer? Now?
Hello, 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 hello.
Telephone?
It's not us. It's audition.
Mix out?
Can you hear us? Hello, hello.
Hi, Blake. I can't hear you. I can see your lips moving.
Uh-oh.
Oh, hold on.
Hold on. Oh, no.
My sound. Hold on.
Yeah, it's your sound.
There we go. Gotta have those speakers
Yeah.
on.
Operator error.
Oh, well.
Awesome.
Cool.
That's okay. Now we'll have to come out of this song now. So we can talk to your audience about the we're going to talk about the pig heart transplant coming up on the show a little bit later. So we can leave that out of the headlines because you've got a bunch of other ones, but we can talk about it now just with your audience.
Okay. Or we can skip it because I'm going to talk about it in detail later on.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Yeah.
Erin finally took down her Christmas lights.
I took down my Christmas lights yesterday. Well, I finally had time.
It's okay. I mean, it's only the 10th. There are plenty of other places on island that still have the lights up.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm going to say that my house looks bare and I kind of want to put them all up and just leave them year round because it actually kept it really, but no, it's like now I have to declutter my house and we didn't put it up in the attic. So now it's under my stairs. And I'm like, okay, I'm like, Dion, we're going to have to figure out where this is going to go because this is not going to stay under here because I have to use this area for other storage.
So I finally got something. I ordered Jamie a vanity desk or whatever you want to call it.
To get ready.
She's been wanting that. It has a mirror, has a bunch of drawers and stuff. It's from West Elm.
Yeah.
She's been wanting it forever. So I ordered it in October.
Dressing table.
That's a vanity.
Yes, but that's where like they sit and they like
do
their,
you can sit and do your makeup or whatever. Put on your fake eyelashes.
I've never once had one of those, and it's such like it's just not like in a very American thing, but I see why people have them.
Yeah. So I ordered it in October. It was a Christmas present, and I finally got it yesterday. So I had to give at Christmas. I had to give Jamie a picture of it. Said, this is coming. I did buy it. So it finally came yesterday, and so we ended up putting that thing together last night. It's like IKEA furniture. Just comes in and
takes forever to
takes forever.
Yes, but that's always nice. It's like, ooh, this is special,
Yeah, and you'll understand this. Well, actually, you too, Sandy. When you're putting together something, you want to get your kids involved because it keeps them busy while you're trying to actually do something productive.
It doesn't really help with those.
It doesn't. It takes twice as long.
Yes, because then they're like touching.
They're using the tools. They're taking the screws.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. They're trying to be helpful.
Yes,
it's cute, but budget about twice as long.
Yeah. That's a Saturday afternoon project.
Right.
What can we do to keep the kid busy? Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
It's like laundry right now. Gianna's getting into laundry.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Oh, I did find my kids playing hide and seek in the dryer. I was like,
she's like, oh no.
Hey, we've taught Miles to vacuum, so
yeah,
we'll be expanding on that.
Ethan cleans windows when he's in trouble.
All right, stand by. Here we go.
Big news. I have some important news for you. Interesting news.
It's Blake and Darren's Spilling the Tea with Sandy.
K-Man's top news headlines of the day from CMR.
Oh, good morning, Sandy.
Morning.
Good morning, Blake and Erin, and good morning to all of your listeners and my listeners.
And to yours as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've got a bunch of headlines this morning.
Absolutely, we do. Kicking it off. Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Lost my voice.
Really?
So kicking it off, we actually made this announcement yesterday during the show, but I realized that was after we spoke. There is a $10,000 reward being offered for the successful capture and conviction of 2 men who were wanted in a hate crime that took place in the Strand.
Oh, wow. 10,000.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Have they ever offered rewards for?
I'm sure someone put this.
Yeah, sometimes they do for more high profile cases. But this, I think, is kind of unique in that, you know, just private citizens have come together, philanthropists, business owners, and they said, this is horrible. We can't believe that this happened in the Cayman Islands. And
this is not a reward from RCIPS.
No, this is a private citizens doing it.
Okay, gotcha.
Working through the Crime Stoppers. So if you go to Crime Stoppers and you submit your information, then you could be eligible to be awarded, you know, $10,000.
Well, good, because you can't let this. I mean, this needs to be solved. This needs to be sorted. I grew up in Idaho, obviously right next to Wyoming, and the Matthew Shepard case was a huge thing. I don't want to go into details. If you don't know who Matthew Shepard is, you can go and Google that on your own time. And yeah, so you can't let hate crimes go away because you don't know how ruthless they could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, the RCIPS has released data for their holiday, statistics.
Operation Quaker.
Yeah, Operation Quaker. And they sort of say it was a bit of a success. There were fewer serious accidents. However, there was an increase in hit and run incidents. And I feel like that's absolutely true because we got a lot of tips of like, oh, here's a car that was involved in a hit and run. And so
by the way, I almost filmed this, but I didn't have time to whip out my camera, my phone. So we were going to the movies on Sunday and we saw it had rained a little bit right by the A.L. Thompson roundabout there.
Yes.
And we saw a car. I have no idea how this car, it must have just happened, jumped up onto the curb into the roundabout and smashed up one of the signs. And the 2 guys were out of the car trying to figure out how to pull the sign off their car because it was. And then just
move on.
Yeah, I'm sure there was no reporting of that. They looked like they were working quickly to
you could have been a CMAR tipster there.
I know. It would have been
a lot of them.
Catching them in the act. How often do you catch somebody in the act? It's usually after the fact. I was know. This could be so close. This could be so viral.
How do you? Just drive carefully, people. No one.
So anyway, what are the stats?
Well, they said that essentially they were pleased that there were no fatalities over the holiday season. 15 speeding tickets.
15.
This is for the New Year's Eve weekend.
That's 15 in a weekend. That's how many passed me this morning on the way 15? Into work.
I know.
3 DUIs.
Sorry, what?
The statistics will always be low if there's not that many people out there patrolling.
You sure that you didn't? That there's not a typo? There should have been a couple of zeros on there.
That was just so they only gave it for that specific weekend. So they had 1 disqualified driver, 19 expired, 20 tint, 6 cell phone and attendance to 15 motor vehicle accidents. So yeah. So they were pleased, I think, overall with the decrease in serious accidents, and then a little bit of an increase in commercial burglary activity. So a lot of times that's to be expected, I think, over the holiday season. So just secure your premise, folks. Just a reminder that the deadline for government scholarships are coming up. So a lot of people might be looking at both undergrad and graduate studies. And so if you're one of those individuals, please contact the Scholarship Secretariat for Government, and they can give you all the details. They also have a website that is available.
All right,
excellent.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's always a good thing.
Jamaica has said, in a little bit of regional news, they have said no more lockdowns. Their position essentially is, listen, despite COVID surging, and yes, their vaccination levels remain really, really low, the Prime Minister said on Sunday at a press conference that there'd be no more lockdowns. Now, I don't know if that's forever or like right now. I think people are just really tired of the lockdowns.
I agree.
So, he said that his administration would end the lockdowns.
They really need to work on their vaccination rate.
Yeah,
they really need to.
Yeah, but I agree. There shouldn't be lockdowns anymore.
Well,
so on Friday, quite interesting enough, they had over almost
Hospitals,
1,600 new COVID cases, which was a new record for a 24-hour period since the pandemic. So like many places, they are seeing a surge. But he's telling people the exact same thing that Blake just said. Listen, we've got vaccines. We've set up vaccine sites. You need to go and get vaccinated. He said, argument done. Just get vaccinated.
I mean, at what point can you stop helping people that can't help themselves?
That's it.
And it's like,
that's
okay.
what I'm saying.
They won't help themselves. Not that they can't, but they won't.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah. All right, Sandy, thanks for the headlines this morning.
Thank you.
We'll let you kick off your show. You can see Sandy live on Facebook and YouTube. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.
Our segment with.
All right. Now we're going to kick it off here. We got a lot to talk about. Good morning, everyone. So let's cue up our intro. So what we've been doing coming into this year, we're tightening the schedule a little bit. I explained this yesterday, but just in case you guys missed it, we're tightening the schedule just a little bit for 106. So they have less time to play with in the morning. So we do our segment with them, which of course is live on radio. By the way, my daughter listens to it every single morning. I guess my husband's listening to 106 on the radio. And she's like, Mommy, you were talking about, and then she tells me. So we'll talk about that right after the break. We got lots, full conversation. Stay tuned, folks.
You're now tuned in to the Cold Hard Truth, Cayman's #1 hard-hitting live podcast show, where we feature some straightforward conversations on political, social, and celebrity news and all things happening in the Cayman Islands and around the world. This show was created to give the people a voice and a means of being involved and informed without any filters. Sometimes it gets crazy, but we always keep it real. We bring you the tea, piping hot, so grab your favorite beverage and join the conversation via WhatsApp at 324-1612. Email tips@CaymanMarlRoad.com. Now, here's your host, Sandy Hill, broadcasting live from the beautiful Cayman Islands.
Isn't that like the most beautiful song? I love our beloved Isle Cayman. Our national song, folks, in case you didn't know, that's the steel pan rendition of it. It is just, I don't know, there's something about it. No matter when you hear it, where you hear it, it kind of just gives you goosebumps. Even without the words, it is just that near and dear, I think, to all of our hearts, hopefully. Just an amazing song. Yes. All right. So good morning, folks. It is Tuesday, January the 11th. Hard to believe, already 2 weeks almost into the new year. So we are going to talk about a lot of things. And let's kick it off with a little bit of positivity. So I'm going to tell you guys what I did on Friday morning. So good morning to Miss Wee Wee. Hero Blair, thank you so much. Says thanks for keeping us informed. Looking forward to the expansion of CMR. Thank you. And again, our news segment last night went off without a hitch, more or less. Sometimes there are little things that I know when I'm watching it, like I'm critiquing it, that you guys won't know. So what do they say? Ignorance is bliss. So I won't tell you what those little things are. But by and large, you guys are loving it. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback. I actually had someone who sent me a video footage of her husband watching it. And I know she'll probably kill me for sharing this, but I think I will share it with you guys because it's really funny how he was like all into it. He's like, So that was his first time watching the news. So good morning to Wee Wee. And so, yes, there's definitely a lot going on for the new year. Let me show you this while I'm talking about it because this is hilarious. Hold on one second.
Lake Furnace is a popular tourist destination with thousands visiting on weekends. The horrific incident.
Sandy, you got fun here?
Oh, yeah.
So that was his first time watching it, and he was like, getting all into the nightly news. So thank you so much. New fan of the nightly news segment. Really, really appreciate it. So yes, so let's start off with some positivity. Good morning to Dale. Good morning, Asim. Thank you so much for joining us. So on Friday, I had the opportunity to go by and visit with some young children. It's called the Primary Behavior Intervention Center. Now, I got to be honest with you, I never really knew that this center existed. And I feel like probably a lot of people don't know that this center existed. But they're doing such good work over there that I wanted to give them a shout out and share with you guys, who they are, what they do, and how our paths kind of collided a little bit. I think it's fantastic when you find out that there are so many people working behind the scenes in this community, in this country, trying to do good things, especially for our youth and our young people who are at risk, the high risk individuals. It's one thing to always praise people who have the benefit of, 2-parent homes, no immediate mental health issues, no physical disabilities. In other words, they have everything almost available on a silver platter. Parents have financial resources. All of these things are important, but not every single family can tick off all of those options. And even with all of those things, sometimes you just need a little bit more help. So as you guys know, we have a lot of our young people who are living with some sort of a uniqueness about them. We've kind of tried to move away from saying that it's a disability, because I think if you can manage these things, it doesn't have to be a disability. It's something that's different about you, and you can learn and you can teach young people how to deal with their differences, whether that's a physical difference or if they're dealing with any sort of, emotional, behavioral issues as well. So, sometimes I tell this story and I feel like maybe I don't tell this story enough to make you guys understand how it's so important to intervention and early intervention in particular is really, 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 really important. Like I cannot stress this enough. And I know this from my own personal experience. And I'm going to share this personal story with you guys because really and truly, those who feel it, know it. You know what I mean? So, I grew up in, sometimes I feel a way about talking about my dysfunctionality in terms of, what I grew up in, because I do kind of feel like it reflects on the adults who were in my life who were kind of making these decisions. I can't be held accountable for their decisions, and I don't even understand a lot of times why they would have been making the decisions that they were making. That's outside of my remit, right? But I do know that, decisions were being made that were impacting my life. And I unfortunately believe that a lot of adults do not understand how that happens, and how, I don't know if it's like they're more focused on their own lives and what they're doing, and not really like, okay, is this decision that I'm making in the best interest of my child? You know what I mean? It's more of a selfishness. Like I need to survive in the moment. I need to do what I need to do. And so I feel like there are a lot of things that adults do that they're not entirely aware, maybe that's the best word, of how those elements, oh my gosh, of how those elements impact their children. And so I grew up, I think, in an environment where the adults were, I guess, in survival mode. I don't really know. Like I said, I can't always explain what they were doing or the reasons why they were doing it. I've had other people outside of those adults try to help me understand what might have happened. I think at some point, though, you kind of need to let it go. Like you can't focus on their issues, because then you get boggled down in the past and you get boggled down in trying to fix something or address something that really you have no control over. So, that prayer about you being able to change what you can and knowing the difference. So I think a lot of our past lives, folks, familial issues, multi-generational issues, we have to accept that, you can't change that. So you have the option it's a serenity prayer, right? So you have the option to accept it. And acceptance can mean that you simply say, it's not acceptance, and that, you're saying that, yes, this behavior is right or wrong or whatever. It's just really a question of you accepting that it happened, and that you just have to move on in a positive direction from there. So saying all of that to get to the point that at one stage, my parents were told that I was, I guess at the time, a child that needed to be placed in the Lighthouse School, which is, I don't really understand. I mean, I've heard the story, and, I heard the person went on to be a politician and involved in sports and all sorts of activities. I don't know why she would have said that. She actually thought that I had some sort of a learning disability. And as it turns out, I didn't have a learning disability at all. And one thing I want to say is that as a parent, you have to be very, very careful how your children are labeled as well. Not every person is equipped to provide your child with the professional help that they need. So there might be, your teachers spend a good deal of time with your children. And I think that it's important for those individuals to give you feedback, because they may be picking up on stuff, especially at the early intervention stage, that you simply don't see, right? Because they spend so much time during the day with your children. By the time your children get home, they're normally tired. You feed them. They might have a little bit of an hour or two of downtime, and then it's off to bed, right? So I feel like teachers are instrumental, and they are your partners in addressing any potential issues with your children. So you do have to listen to your teachers, but I think as a parent, you also have to have the ability to discern what is accurate from what isn't. So labeling children can be very, very dangerous, I think, for the child. And also putting children in an environment where you say, oh, this child has an issue, has a disability, we're just going to shut them away. I think that is also problematic. So let's be quite honest here. Since then, that was 30 years ago, 30 something years ago, a lot has changed in the world of intervention, behavioral intervention, and there are programs that are now available with experts and a level of expertise that did not exist before. So the person who was making this recommendation to my parents was just a teacher. I think she might have eventually become a school principal or something. But, as I reflect on it, she would not have had the tools herself to be able to make that sort of assessment. And of course, as you can appreciate, back then, the entire world didn't have the available tools that we have now, right? How to properly diagnose children, whether they have ADHD or other, difficulties that might slow down their learning progress. These things have progressed. We understand so much more about all of these things. We've made humongous strides over the years. But I often think to myself that had my parents accepted that recommendation and placed me in the Lighthouse School, what would my future have been like? And you guys will know, some of you will know that my father was Uric Solomon. And, for all of his faults, I must give him credit for saying in that moment that this doesn't seem like a right diagnosis to me. And so what I want to do is I actually want to remove Sandra from this environment and to give her a chance somewhere else. So, he made the decision. I feel like it was a unilateral decision, almost single-handedly, where he decided to send me to his sister in Tampa. And that was a life-changing opportunity and a life-changing experience. And it presented the most important thing for me, which was a stable home environment and, an opportunity to get a decent education. And I could focus on the only thing that I really needed to focus on as a child, which was my education and trying to be a child. There were no other issues in the household that, like who's going to take care of me, food issues, sibling issues, uncertainty from one moment to the next, and all sorts of other dysfunctionalities that unfortunately would have been part of my life here in the Cayman Islands. And if you're a parent and you're listening to this and you have children who, you've made bad decisions and, you're out there doing the most, going out, partying, whatever, you have to understand that as much as you try to separate your life from your child's life, all of those things have an impact on your children. And so I do feel like when you have children, it's not about you. It becomes about the child and about making the child the most important, priority in your life. And you have to make sacrifices and decisions that are about your children. And I do believe that a lot of parents are not there yet when they have children. And so as a result of that, that is why, there's a lot of homes that have issues. But the government has a responsibility to try to help people, especially the children, in those circumstances and provide support for them whenever possible. And one of the support mechanisms that are available here in the Cayman Islands, again, that I didn't know anything about really, is this Primary Behavior Intervention Center. Now, how I came to know about this is Ms. Sue, who is a school teacher. I think she retired a couple of years ago now. Sue Ramkasun, she reached out to me a few months back and said, hey, I work at this center. I actually thought it was a daycare center, to be honest, when she first told me about it. And she said, we are in need of some bicycles for the younger groups. The age, she gave us the age range and kind of, some information so we could know what size and types of bicycles and whatever would be appropriate. So I reached out to a number of people about this. And one of the people that immediately said yes was Premier Wayne Panton. He said, oh, I'll do it. I'll donate the bikes. I said, okay, great. Now it took us a while with his schedule, to really get everything organized. because he's just a busy man. I mean, I don't think people comprehend how incredibly busy he is, but he is very, very busy, right? So it took a minute. And then during the Christmas, I think he was probably out shopping for his, doing his community Christmas giveaways. And he said, okay, I'm going to go and get the bike sorted out. And the center had already closed down because, it turns out they're like a school facility and they would have like breaks and that sort of thing. So we ended up on Friday finally arranging for the delivery of the bikes. So he had purchased them and they were just sitting, I think, in his garage at home or whatever, until the new term started. And we decided to go by on Friday. So I had an amazing experience where I was really touched to see all of the adults at the Primary Behavior Intervention Center working so incredibly hard on behalf of our children, our most important asset in this community. It was amazing to see the premier there getting introduced to this program, which, by the way, he didn't know anything about either. That's one of the reasons I want to talk about this, is because I figured if I didn't know anything about it, he doesn't know anything about it. Education doesn't fall under him. So, maybe there are tons of you who have no idea that this Primary Behavior Intervention Center even exists. And maybe this is something that could be assisting your family. I think one of the teachers there, one of the administrators, said that in fact, sometimes the teachers themselves in the government schools are also unaware of this behavior center and what it is that they offer and what they do. So I'm going to read you guys a little bit of a description here on what they do and ask them for some information. And it says that the government's Primary Behavior Intervention Center consists of 3 classrooms. They have the Little Stars, which is the one that the bicycles are being donated to. They have building blocks and stepping stones, and they cater to students who, for a variety of reasons, find themselves unable to thrive in a mainstream classroom. And it says that this manifests as challenging behavior. The children often arrive at the behavioral unit seeking or lacking self-confidence, and they're disengaged from the learning process. So what this unit does is they work with families to look beyond or behind the behavior to what the underlying issues are. And frequently they encounter children with previously unidentified learning needs, such as language processing, sensory processing disorder, and sometimes a child has experienced trauma. Sometimes there's a medical reason, and there's mental health components as well. And one of the overarching objective of this program is to reintegrate the children back into the traditional classroom environment. So they work with a number of different agencies, to make sure that this happens: NAU, FRC, Alex Panton Foundation, and so on. So reintegration being their ultimate goal of children back into a mainstream school environment. So I thought that this was very interesting, because what they're essentially doing is they're removing children who, have been identified as needing assistance. And like I said, the reason why it can really, really run the gamut. They put them in this program. These are smaller classroom environments, extremely small, and they give them, as much one-on-one attention as possible. And they teach them tools on how to, while we were there was a young man who, I didn't know exactly what his diagnosis was, but he had issue making eye contact, for example. So I kept hearing them reinforcing to him the importance of, when you're speaking to someone or someone is speaking to you, to make good eye contact with that individual, right? We kind of caught them like at lunchtime, so some of them were enjoying their lunch. They were having a little bit of downtime, but these are our children, folks. This is a community. This is a very small community, and we have to invest in our children as much as we possibly can. And here we have an entire unit, administrators, teachers, professionals, who they're dedicated to this group of young people, and by extension, their parents and the community at large, to provide the support that these children need. So one young man was saying to us how he's from Africa, and he said, in Africa, they see, I don't know exactly what part of Africa, to be honest, but, they see a lot, and they think, oh, wow, Africa is always labeled as having the worst, right? So they see a lot of stuff there. But he said, to be honest, when I came to the Cayman Islands, especially during COVID and stuff, and we actually had to go into homes, I was really, really surprised at what I was seeing. And I've heard this before. I have heard that the level of, poverty, dysfunctionality, what children are having to be subjected to in homes would really knock your socks off if you had any real idea. If you had an eagle eye and you could just look into people's homes and the conditions that children are being subjected to, you would really, really be surprised. And unfortunately, one of the real issues with the COVID pandemic is it forced people to have to stay home. And children found it very, very difficult to cope with having to be on lockdown, especially if they are in a dysfunctional, abusive, poor environment. Let's just be honest. For a lot of children in this community, school acts as a way out for at least 6-7 hours or whatever amount of time that they're out during the day. So they get to interact with other children, they get to see school administrators. I feel like school offers children a hope of being like normal, if that's such a term. This is one of the things I think that we need to really, really look at closely. And it's hard to tell a parent that you need to be doing X, Y, Z. So the parents need support as well for them to then be able to support children. And sometimes a parent just doesn't even know where to begin. So this unit is there, folks. They are doing an absolutely fantastic job. I want to take my hat off to them. I feel like we need to do more. So I'm really going to try to interview or set up an interview with some of their administrators who can do a special piece on this for people who may not even be watching now, to hear more about this unit, to learn as much about this unit. Someone just sent me a WhatsApp message and they were asking, how does a child get referred to this behavioral unit? So as far as I understand, the referral process will come through the respective school. So if a teacher notices something of concern, they can then reach out to probably their administrators at the school, who make contact with the primary behavioral intervention center. And then the ball can start to progress from there. So the premier went, he was really, really touched by meeting these young people. Some of them, the older groups, when we went to the older, the stepping, I think that one might've been the building blocks, but the young guys there, the young men there, they were like, oh, can you autograph our mask for us? So he autographed their little mask. And it was just an opportunity for him to see these young people and to see this program and talk to the people there. And they are saying, listen, this program works. We don't always have all of the resources. They kind of feel, I think, like sometimes people forget that they're even there, or people don't even know that this unit exists. And so, of course, as with a lot of things, they are resource strapped, but, they are there doing the best with what they have. And that's really, really, really important, folks. And one example that one of the teachers was saying is that there was a young man there who, anytime he'd get upset about something, he didn't know how to communicate that, and a lot of times children don't. So they will act out. They'll throw, even at 10, 11, 12, they will throw epic tantrums that are, once they're that size, it's not the same thing as a 2-year-old throwing a tantrum, right? It can be very violent. People can get hurt. And you don't want children to be able to, or not be able to handle their emotions. This whole emotional intelligence is really all about you being able to express yourself in a meaningful way, control your emotions if and when necessary, and knowing how to communicate, because we all have feelings, we all have emotions. And when you get upset, there's an appropriate way to demonstrate that you're upset without, physically getting involved with people. And the truth of the matter is, if we are unable to assist these people, then they become the next generation of people who, have no control, and who will turn to all sorts of other things in life that are not going to be really productive. And then, sadly, they are the ones who end up in mental health facilities because their issues were never properly diagnosed or treated. And they may also end up, in facilities like the prison system. and the penal code system, And so I think everything that we do now, every single investment that we make in our young people, early intervention programs work. And we have to do them. So in my personal case, it wasn't really like an early intervention program, anything like this. It was my dad saying, I don't think this diagnosis is correct. Maybe she just needs a change of environment. And a change of environment in my personal situation was a game changer and a lifesaver. I know without a doubt my life would have been so much different. I would not have been anyone that would have been worth getting up here and speaking to you about, except probably, maybe still in prison and having 50 million children. And, maybe I would be sharing those experiences. I don't really know. And continuing the generational curse is what I refer to it as, of making poor decisions over and over and over again. So folks, as a people, we have hope. We have resources that are available. We have people, and this is a mixed batch of individuals working together. There are people there from all walks of life. I think one lady might have been from the UK or Ireland. Sue is from Trinidad. We had this guy from Africa. We've got some Jamaicans there. I think there might have been one or two Caymanians. But it's everyone, regardless of where they're from, who have an interest in your children, coming together and working as a unit to try to provide them with the support that they need. And so I want to say, sometimes we have people listening to this program who are business owners, citizens who might have available resources to help. I want you guys to do me a favor. For 2022, we have to, I think, reach a little bit further and how we can assist other people. So it's not all about me 24/7, right? We have to be concerned about other people around us. And so I don't know what the proper protocol is, but I do know that they need resources. One of the guys was saying that they were so thankful for the Alex Panton Foundation, because the foundation really provides a lot of support for the unit. And he was kind of talking about how, access to therapists and all this kind of stuff. The Alex Panton Foundation does a lot. And as you guys know, that foundation was set up in memory of Wayne Panton's son. And, when Mr. Premier Panton and I had a moment afterwards, and he was just thanking me for making this a possibility, for bringing, all of these forces together in a way that was impactful for him. I believe impactful for the young children that were there that day, and impactful for the unit, because now the premier knows about this unit. He's going to inquire and find out a bit more about how can we support this unit more, right? He got a little bit teary-eyed when he was talking about and reflecting on how his son would have been so proud of what the Alex Panton Foundation is doing and how it is helping young people in particular, which was something that even as a young man himself was something that Alex Panton, was really, really concerned about. So folks, support this unit, reach out to them. They can use donations like playground equipment. One of the teachers was saying that he was actually trying to purchase on EK a little foosball game for the kids so that they can have, like, in their recreation area, they can have something to do. They had like little skateboards there. Now, thanks to Premier Panton, the younger groups have some bicycles. I kind of felt like the older kids were kind of like, we're not getting a bicycle here. So if you want to donate some bikes for the older kids, by all means, reach out to me and I can put you in contact with Sue. They can share bikes. They can, these activities are important. Physical activity and stuff is a good part of being a well-balanced individual as well. So I just want to take my hats off to the Primary Behavior Intervention Center and for all of the staff that work there. And, I will help get the positive message out there about what it is that you guys do as much as I can, because that's part of my role here on CMR. So we're not here just to talk about SOS every day. The SOS has its place and it's fine, but our overarching goal is to educate people and educate people about these wonderful organizations, whether they're NPOs, whether they're part of a subsection of government or whatever, that really do an amazing job to support different elements in this community. And I feel like anyone that is working in the well-being or for the well-being of our children is, to me, the best possible organization in the world. So I wanted to start off this program today by sharing with you all what this primary behavior intervention center is, a little bit about what they do. I'll ask them for some contact information. I'll get some clarification on, how you guys can reach them if you need the help. Of course, I do know that they have limited resources, and because of the type of program it is, they can't have tons of kids in a classroom. So one of the ways in which they help children is by being able to give them as much individualized attention as possible. So that means really, really small classroom sizes. The truth of the matter is, folks, one of the most detrimental things to your child's ability to learn in a traditional school is classroom sizes. And so when our schools, I know we've had this discussion about, physical schools don't really mean anything, like that's not how children are going to learn, but physical space, right, and having more teachers and smaller classroom environments really do help your children learn, because the greater the student to teacher ratio is, the more likely it is that your children are not going to be in a conducive environment for their learning. And this is a fact. In fact, it is the single most important indicator of how successful your children will be academically, which sets the stage for the rest of their lives. That is the one thing I do believe that private schools have on government schools, is that they can keep their numbers low because they can tell you, nope, we're not going to take any more students this year. So they have that level of control. Government is kind of like, they just keep taking the more children people have. And if they're in that catchment area, they just keep taking more and more and more children. So when you have 30 kids in a classroom with one teacher and maybe one teacher's aide, that is too many. That's just, unmanageable. So I think with this type of behavioral unit, they probably need more space. They are using the facility there that's part of, like, I think where SciFec is located. It's the old John Gray campus, I believe. Now, I have no reference point when it comes to this campus. The premier was like, oh my gosh, this used to be the science block. And I'm like, okay. I didn't go to high school here. I didn't go to middle school here. I left in year 4. So I don't have, other than very limited things about Georgetown Primary, I have no reference points for Cayman schools, really. But he remembered, he's like, yeah, because that was back in the day when all of the high schools were together at, like, all the high school students were at one central location. So thank you so much. I've already got donations coming in. You guys are amazing. First of all, let me just say, you guys are really amazing. I have some of the most amazing CMR listeners and fans. So look at this message that I've just received. This person has just messaged and said, I'd love to give this table to the group you're talking about this morning. We'll arrange pickup in West Bay, or maybe I can drop off. Thank you so much for that. That means so much to me, and I'm sure that it's going to mean a lot to these young people as well. So look at that. Already we have people stepping up to the plate. This would be something that they would love to have in their recreation center. And I know that as a community, folks, we can do so much more individually, and we can do so much more collectively. And I do think that, we just need to make some strides, right? So thank you to that kind person who just sent me that WhatsApp message. It really makes a difference, that these young people can have even just access to being able to play games and stuff, because you'd be surprised. I take for granted, I only have the one child, obviously, and I think that oftentimes I take for granted that at 5 years old, my daughter can have a conversation about different things. She has access to things in her life that probably a lot of children do not have. She's like, oh, mommy, can we go outside and play pickleball? Most kids are like, what the heck is pickleball? Until recently, I was like, what the heck is pickleball, right? Just exposing her to stuff. Oh, you want to go? We're going to do swimming lessons for you so you can learn how to swim properly. We're going to, take you to the cinema every once in a while. You can go shopping. Like, she doesn't have to worry about where her next meal is coming from. She has a relatively comfortable life. And I appreciate having even grown up in the circumstances that I've grown up in, that there are a lot of children who do not have those luxuries. And, I think that we can all work a little bit harder, folks, to make it more of an even playing field, right? We have to do our part, starting with our families in our own homes. And then we have to go beyond that. It's not enough for us to just help ourselves. That's the easy part. We also have to, I think, really, really go above and beyond to make sure that other people in our communities have some sort of opportunity at just having a better life. So thank you so much for that. Anybody else with donations, I'm happy to try to facilitate that as much as possible as well. So let's take a little break, and then we're going to come back and talk about some of the sources that you guys definitely want to stay tuned for. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to clarify a bit of misinformation that has been circulating in the community about Lovell Marriott. I think it's really important to address this as well. So let's just take a quick break, and we'll be right back after this message.
Hello, everyone. I am Fiona Alexander Smith from Montserrat, inviting you to join Territories Talk this Wednesday, January 12. Two very special guests, Premier of Montserrat, Honorable Joseph E. Farrell, and Premier of the Virgin Islands, Honorable Andrew Foy, will be discussing the topic, Unifying the Overseas Territories. Territories Talk will be live and interactive on the Territories Talk Facebook and YouTube pages, starting at 7:30 p.m. in the Eastern Caribbean, Bermuda, and the British Virgin Islands, 6:30 p.m. in the Cayman Islands, the Turks and Caicos Islands, and Jamaica. You will be able to submit questions and comments for the Honorable Premiers to respond to. It will be simulcast on Bermuda's Channel 82, ZGB Radio in Montserrat, 95.5 FM, Cayman Mall Road Facebook page, and CBN Radio 90.9 FM in the Virgin Islands. Join Territories Talk as they continue to inform and unite our OT family.
All right, folks. Thank you for that very, very much. Yes, so someone said, so the children eventually transition back to regular school. So that is definitely the overarching goal, is to have them transition. But of course, they need to be ready for that transition. So, it might take more time depending on what the concerns are with specific children. So yes, the idea is definitely to reintegrate them back into a quote unquote normal school. I hate words like normal though, like traditional school. Let's use that word instead of normal. So thank you so much. Damaris is joining us from New York. She says it's 16 degrees. Looks like the US is having a little cold snap. Richard, thank you so much for tuning in. Richard says that once you have children, your life is no longer just your own. Everything you do is centered around this new human being. And I absolutely agree. And that includes even taking care of yourself, right, Richard? Because a lot of us, we need intervention ourselves. We need therapy, and sometimes you don't recognize how important that is until you do have your own children. And you then see that you're passing on a lot of these generational issues and generational curses onto your children. And that's when I think intervention is really, really required. So Tracy, thank you so much for tuning in. Robert is here. Good morning to you. Emma, thank you. So Emma says, so true, school is an escape for many. And sometimes that's the only sort of regularity or semi-normalcy that they may have in their life is what they're being exposed to at school. So that's why I think, all schools should be a positive environment, conducive to learning, and children develop amazing friendships, through their schools. I see my daughter, she's so funny. She's already talking about her BFFs at school. And I'm like, what do you know about a BFF? And she is developing friendships, and she's, telling me why she likes certain kids over other people. And sometimes it's very, very simple. She'll say things, well, I like that person because they're nice to me. And I'm like, that's good. You should like people that are nice to you. You know, and the little kid who's always pulling in her pigtails or whatever, a ponytail, is probably not going to be on her fan list. So good morning to Marva, who's in the U.S. Virgin Islands this morning. Buenos dias, Alba. Maria says exposing kids to sports teaches them so much, including honesty and discipline, and not to mention positive socializing with other kids. Absolutely. Sports are important, you know, team sports are also important. Individual sports, I think, are important. Giving kids something to do in terms of directing their energy. You know, kids can have a lot of energy, and if it's not positively directed, it will be negatively directed because the energy just doesn't dissipate on its own. It's going to find a way. So I think encouraging children to be involved in different activities makes them much more well-rounded. So it's not just about the books all the time or the academics or whatever. It's about some of these other things as well. Good morning to Shane Aliano. Thank you so much. He says, I know the best behave even at 37. Oh, maybe he meant to say I'm not the best behave, but I'm far better than most of my generational group. I wasn't raised soft, but I wasn't killed every day by parents. What didn't kill me didn't harm me. It takes a strong mental fortitude, and we don't stay consistent on that path. Yeah, I mean, I think as a whole, as a nation, Caribbean people, regionally, need to really re-examine how we raise children. Like, I don't think that we have a lot of times gotten it right. You know, parents believe in ruling with an iron fist, and they'll tell you, oh, I'm not my child's friend. I'm their, almost like their executioner, their disciplinarian. And I agree that you're not their friend first, but I can tell you, like how they say you can win so many more bees with honey. If you develop a good relationship with your children, there's nothing wrong with being your child's friend. They have to understand that you are a parent first and foremost, and that's your primary goal. But parents can be friends. Like I don't know who set this marker, this, you know, delineation mark that said, if I'm a parent, I can't be your friend. Because, you know, let's be honest here. If kids feel like you're their friend, they're more likely to open up with you and to be able to communicate with you and these sorts of things. So I think we need a different approach. You know, a lot of us grew up with an iron fist where it was like, you do as you say, you do as I say. What was the saying? You do as you're told, not as I do, or all these ridiculous things that on reflection really don't even make any sense. You know, parents wanting to beat you every single day for like the smallest little things from the time you could barely walk. I don't think that any of those things are conducive to raising adults who can make decisions for the right reasons and who can express themselves with a degree of emotional intelligence. So Blissful Powell, thank you so much. She says that the behavioral center is awesome. My son went there and the teachers are all awesome. The most supportive ever. I love them over there. The teachers helped with every struggle faced. They got my son to where he is today. And for that, I'm forever grateful because it was a rough road without the unit. Love the unit. Thank you, Blissful. I feel like that's so important to have people who have utilized the unit to endorse the unit, because a lot of people are afraid to say, oh, my child has issues, or they had issues, or they needed the services of the behavioral unit. There's no shame in this, folks. You know where the shame should be? If you do nothing. That should be the shame. So if you refuse to help your children navigate the waters of being a child, being a teenager, being an adolescent, that is where the shame should be. If you sit back and do nothing because you're afraid of what the community is going to think, or you're afraid of what your family is going to think. No, you have to, you have to provide assistance where assistance is needed. And these are your kids. Louis, thank you so much. Detroit is in the negative. -1 with a windshield factor outside. My goodness. Good morning, Miss Brenda. How are you? She's rubbing it in, saying it's 81 degrees Fahrenheit here in the Cayman Islands. Aliano says we are to separate being our children's friend and being a parent and still base discipline. I think that you can have a balance. Yes, I agree with that. It's all about balance. You're not their friend in the sense that you allow them to get away with everything and have no discipline in your household. That isn't conducive to anyone. But at the same time, you are their friend. You can be there to listen to them and to, engage them. If they want to have a conversation, you should be the first person that they go to. And they're going to go to their BFF. Let's just be honest, right? And you should be that person for your children. Your children shouldn't feel like they can talk to someone else more than they can talk to you. We got two Emmas commenting. Emma Parchment says, good morning. May God bless everyone. Have a great and safe day. And the other Emma Miranda, says denial can be detrimental. Ooh, I like that. That should be on a bumper sticker. Denial can be detrimental because so many people are living in denial, Emma. All right, so let's talk about it. You guys know that poor Lovell, she's been all over the news. Yesterday, she was back out at it again over by, she actually moved a little bit. And she is now by Royal Bank in town, closer to like central town. So the courts is right up the street and so on. I'm told that she may have moved there in order to be seen by the commissioner of police. So she's making the rounds. She was out there performing yesterday, and of course, naturally, people took a video of it and sent it, and I'm like, yeah, here we go. Interestingly enough, Royal Bank was actually closed because they had some COVID deep cleaning that needed to happen. And so she was out there performing. What can I say? I mean, we can't possibly say anything more about what she does. But I've been contacted by the RCIPS and they wanted to clarify something. So, last week we were having a discussion. Someone said, isn't she married to a police officer named Marriott or Inspector Marriott or whatever? And I said, you guys remember this conversation? I said, listen, I don't know who she's married to or if she's married or not married, or I don't really know any of that stuff about her. I've heard this for years, though, that she is married to someone on the RCIPS. And I found that very, very interesting because if that was the case, then it's like, can't he do a bit more being a police officer? Maybe, maybe not. Well, we can clarify this morning that she has no connection to that Marriott family whatsoever. So apparently there is an Inspector Marriott and he has said, listen, this has nothing to do with him and his family, and it's causing them distress because everybody thinks she is a few knives short of, in the drawer kind of situation. And who would really want to admit to being married to Lovell? Let us be very honest here. I mean, I guess that is an indictment on you if you are her spouse. And so the RCIPS said, listen, the story on Saturday also said that people in the community have said that she is married to an Inspector Marriott. We didn't know how many Marriotts the police force has. We now understand they only have the one, and she's definitely not married to him, has never been married to him, has no relation to him or his family whatsoever. So we want to make sure that we put the correct information out there, folks, because it is important to get the information right. So, we had to do a little bit of digging because this seems to be a very widespread misunderstanding, really, that people believe that she has some connection to, to that Marriott. So here's what we know. All right, let me get the facts here. Okay, so she was married to a man whose name was Marriott, again, not a police officer. She's married to a Beresford Marriott. Date of birth, January the 15th. Y'all know we come with straight facts, 1939. So that would make him, that's kind of old. That's almost as old as my dad, and he's passed away now. What year we're in? 2021. That would make him 82 years old. So she's 51 and he's 82. I don't think he's alive anymore, but let's see. All right. So That's 31 years older. Can we say marriage of convenience there? Anyway, he apparently worked in construction until he was granted Caymanian status by the governor and cabinet on September the 2nd, 2003. Y'all remember those status grants in 2003? So she would have been granted Caymanian status at the same time. And the irony of it is, this is where it gets interesting. She was given problems before she was even granted Caymanian status. You see, this is why those of us who are in the know about how the status grants of 2003 were handled will always say that those, thank you, Nellie, that those status grants were detrimental to this country. They were not good for us in any way, shape, or form, folks, because they were done without any proper due diligence, no checking on people, no nothing. People were just given, you know, it was just given to them. He's probably long deceased. And here she is, still more than able to wreak havoc on this community. Well, someone else had said, interestingly enough, last week that she was given status grants by the 2003 government and governor and cabinet, and persons involved in that like, no, we didn't give her status. Well, yes, you did. We now know, as a matter of fact, that you did. This is why you have to go through the correct process, folks. Right? Immigration protocols and systems are there for a reason. So I'm in the process, interestingly enough, you guys know I'm coming up now on 7 years of marriage. So my husband had his RERC, which was his rights to work certificate, but that's only good for 7 years. After that, his status needs to change. So we have to apply for his change of status. And I was looking at the application this weekend, and I was like, wow, I got to do all this stuff, all this long list of documents. Yes. So I need his employment letter. I need his medical questionnaire, contributions to the community. I don't think that applies for the section in which he'll be getting it, but dependent children, reference letters, all these things. It's important that you go through the process, at least check off the boxes to see that a person, because to me, the check boxes are the mere minimum, right? Getting a job letter, getting your references. These are some of the bare minimum things that you should have to do when you're applying for status in the country. And unfortunately, that wasn't done in cases like Lovell and many others. And Ms. Brenda brings up the point that it is near impossible for them to be revoked. Because after that, we found out that some people who were straight up criminals were given status, and this whole legal argument came about. And I believe that now Premier Wayne Panton, I know that he was one of the people who at the time was against the 2003 status grants. And he paid for, you guys want to know how long the history is? He actually paid for and assisted with the legal challenge to question whether or not the status grants of 2003 could be revoked. Now, I don't quite remember, Miss Brenda. I'm going to have to be honest with you. I can't remember the outcome of that lawsuit. I can't remember what the judge ended up saying. Let me see if I can find out in the meantime. Let me message the one person I know who's going to know. All right, while we wait on that answer, so to be very, very clear, crystal clear, Lovell Marriott has nothing to do with the Marriott family. Now, somebody has just said to me, this is quite interesting, that I love you guys. You're like my super co-host on the side. This person has just said that this name, Beresford, shows up on the elections list. So he might still be alive? Huh. Interesting. So Lovell has been at it a long time, folks. This apparently is nothing new. Magdalene says that they can, but only by cabinet. We'll get some clarification. Jess thinks that they can as well. Let's see if we can find out. So we do a little search here for Beresford Marriott. And what we have coming up is a lawsuit. This is Scotiabank versus Beresford Marriott. This was back in 2000. Interesting. Let me just have a look here. All right, let's have a look and see what this is about. Yep. December 1st, 2000. Scotiabank. So it was Beresford Marriott and Edith Ebanks. Who the heck is Edith Ebanks? So this was, unfortunately, going that far back, we can't see the actual physical document on this website. But we do see that normally when a bank is suing you, it's over like a mortgage situation. They don't normally sue people for anything else. They just want their money. So the plaintiffs actually had an attorney, Hunter and Hunter. So I don't know who Edith Ebanks is, but it was Beresford Marriott and Edith Ebanks, Scotiabank Limited. That was Grand Court 888 of 2000. Okay. So there's that. Let's see what else we can find. CNS. Okay, so Extraordinary Gazette. This is where the information comes in relation to the granting of status. Extraordinary Gazette number 33 of 2003. Let's see here, Marriott. Yes, he was number 1554, Beresford Marriott. Haven't been giving status along with a whole list of other people that year. So this document is still live on the internet. This is the Extraordinary Gazette number 33 of 2003, in case you're interested. Grants of Caymanian status by the Immigration Board. And they have a long, this was a long one, child. Dated this 24th day of October 2003. David Rich was then the chairman of the Immigration Board. And this one is on page 6, which is actually grants of Caymanian status by cabinet. So let me show you guys how many people would have gotten Caymanian status at the time by cabinet, because this has had a trickle down effect that I think a lot of people do not realize. So thank you. for this. So let me just increase it a little bit before I share it. All right, folks, so here we go. This is all the people who got status back in 2003. Tristan Abbott was number 1. It's in alphabetical order. Robert Gregg Abernethy, Aaron Matthew Abraham, all these people. Look at this. Wow. Clyde Allen, he got it then too? Huh. What do you know? Attorney Clyde Allen. What a hot mess. So yeah, this is what cabinet was up to at the time. It's a long list of individuals, I can tell you that. I mean, look at the A's alone. Lots of Andersons. Oh my gosh. From 46 to 56, all Andersons. I don't know who they are. Couple Alvarez's, Emilio, Julian Nicholas. Anglins. These are probably people who have Cayman connections, but for whatever reason were unable to get it because of, maybe they couldn't prove the parentage or whatever. Archibald, David, Janet, Lucille, Archibald. She spells hers a little bit different. So a very long list of individuals. The list goes on and on. Beersings, a couple of them. Patrice Beersing? Really? Interesting. Let me just sip on my water, child. A lot of Blakes as well. Look at this. Blairs, Blakes, Bloomfields, Bodens, a lot of Bodens, Bordens, Brady, Dennis Brady, as in, that can't be the Dennis Brady I'm thinking of. Which Dennis Brady would that be? Can you all see the list? Child, I'm seeing some names in here that I'm going, interesting. Anyway, it was a long list of people, y'all. That's all I can tell you. I can't remember how many people in total, but it was a lot. I mean, we're still in the B's and we're like on page what? Wow. Yes, if you think this didn't change the dynamics of the Cayman Islands, think again. What a hot mess. And not to say that some of these people may not have been, worthy. Oh, look at my little friend, Rashanta. That's when she got hers as well. Dr. Diallo's got his then. Interesting. The entire family. Wesley Douglas, Drackett, Leando, Denisha. Yes, a couple Drummonds. It's quite an extensive list. Even Ebanks's are in the batch. You would have thought they would have had it already, but Edwards, Elliott, Eldemeyer, Emmanuel, Farron. What a hot mess. Anyway, so Lovell's husband was definitely on this list. Yeah, this extremely extensive list of people who were granted Caymanian status at the time by cabinet. So if you were here, you'll remember this. This was a big deal. Everybody was shocked at how this was done because literally people were just lined up. They just went to McKeever Bush and he signed off on it. His cabinet just signed off on this list. There had been people who allegedly were here for months, literal months, and they were given Caymanian status. And trust me, we said this should never, ever, ever be permitted again. It wasn't the right way to do it. It was too many at one time. There was no checks and balances. And people, I remember distinctly seeing the long lines, honey child. It was like there was a lottery, just throwing out money, throwing out Caymanian status like they're worth nothing. And people are lined up blocks. In front of the police station. Remember back then? When people could get their police clearance certificate from, what's the location called there? The old police station. Well, it's, yeah, the old police station, which I think now they use that for, no. It was where DMV used to be, DVDL, right across from Godfrey's. The line like ran from there all the way to like where the new government building is. It was so many people. I was like, what's going on here today? And then they would line up at immigration to go get that stamp in their passport. I don't remember how many it was actually. Robert and Parado, Ironstone. Oh, Dr. Ironstone got his then too. Yes, sir. What I do know is that it was just too many. And there were, like I said, the biggest thing was there were no checks and balances. We don't even know who half these people are. Ridiculous. Oh, it's an extensive list, trust me. Oh, here's our little friend, Wilson Mendoza. Surprise, surprise, surprise. This is a guy who is harassing the Adams family in West Bay and being a real pain in their rear, fighting for that Lisa Lane. He actually was granted Caymanian status then. Oh, yes, thanks, Cabinet of 2003. You see what you're importing? Sure. What a hot mess. No wonder he got such an attitude. So he didn't get his through marriage. He got it through this hot mess of a situation. Wow. Wow. All I can do is shake my head. So there's we passed Marriott, but oh gosh, we passed him a little while ago. Anyway, he's on here somewhere. M-A-R-R Dr. Joseph Marzuka. I thought he would have had that long time. So Marriott is, there he is. Beresford Marriott, number 1554. Anyway, honey child. What a hot mess. What a list, my God. The entire O'Garo family's there. Constance O'Kane and James. Barbara O'Leary. Is that the Barbara O'Leary? No, that's not her last name. The one from that show, Shark Tank. I don't think. No, O'Leary isn't her name. A bunch of parchments. Parker. Whoa. Ramsey Hale. Oh, Miss Margaret got hers then too. Margaret Hope Ramsey Hale. She was number 2098. Wow. Shock and surprisation, as Caymanians would say. Yes, sir. History is important, you know. History is very, very important, folks. You got to know certain things. Being in the know is critical. And that's why, again, we want to make sure that we correct any incorrect information that might be out there. Even if we put it out there, we want to correct it, because if it ain't right, it ain't right. So Lovell, let me check and see. Does she have another name? There's a Lovell Faye Reed. That was that's the only other Lovell. Let me find out what her name was before. I'm curious to know. All right. All right. Well, there's that hot mess of a situation. So I've gotten confirmation that yes, somebody also shared that he's on the, oh yes, woo, detective style going on here today. So very good. That's all the confirmation that I needed. All right, looking at whatever. What's up, sleuths sent this. There she is. She's on the voters list. Lovell Faye Marriott. So businesswoman. Hi. Yeah, she does live down in Randike. So I am going to put my neck on the, out on a little limb here and say that this same Lovell Faye on this list, Lovell Faye Reed, is Lovell Faye Marriott. There's not many people named Lovell. And there'd be even fewer people named Lovell Faye. So it looks like her name was Reed before it was Marriott. So she did get it then. Number 2126. No disputing that. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Several people sent me the list here. So there, we can put that mystery together. So to be clear, the current family, the other Marriotts don't have nothing to do with her. So we've confirmed that definitely by cabinet. So the question was, can the 2003 governor cabinet statuses be revoked? Yes, they can be by cabinet. The law was changed when France Manderson actually was instrumental in getting that change when he was the chief immigration officer. Thank you, France. We appreciate you getting that done. Someone has just confirmed that for us. So they can be revoked, but by cabinet, the same way in which they were granted. So that law was changed. So thank you. So yes, so now we've gotten confirmation, Ms. Brenda. Esme says the application was filed, however, it did not proceed any further, as I recall, if my memory serves me correctly. Well, it seems like now legislatively it has been changed. So Moya, we now know how he got it and how she got it. Marshall says those status grants back in the day were being given away like candy to everyone, and many didn't deserve it. But why cry over spilt milk? Let's just make sure it doesn't happen again. Oh, we're not crying over spilt milk, child. We are well aware of the implications of that. But it's not a matter of crying over spilt milk. It's a matter of understanding the implications. that those status grants had at the time and continue to have all these years later. Good morning, Mr. Tommy. Miss Brenda says, yes, as you said, we're seeing the effects of it today. Sad and dangerous for an island as small as us. Deep Blue Sea and says now a lot of these Caymanians are lined up at NAU. This status grant was a nail that sealed a coffin and Cayman for good. Good morning, Jonathan. Joining us from St. Martin. Spammer, good morning. You're now blocked. Brenda's asking, how is St. Martin? Probably like us, beautiful weather. Jess says you ain't seen nothing yet. Lord, what are you predicting? Richard says that mass Caymanian status was, as you would say, a hot mess. It was, is, and ever will be a national disgrace. How can they have a different residential address on the voters' registration? Was not a cause for concern. I picked up on that as well, Miss Brenda. But I guess they're no longer together. This 80-something-year-old man, he probably can't take this hot mess of a situation in his life. So he's living his most fabulous life in Windsor Park. And he's keeping her an arm's throw away down in Randite Garden. He's 82 years old. What's she going to be doing with him at 82? Other than taking care of him, and she can't take care of herself, obviously. So I'm sure he's better off without her at that age. He don't want the stress. So I think it doesn't matter because they didn't get it. She didn't get it through marriage. So it's not even like they have to pretend to be together, pretend to be in a relationship. It doesn't matter. They both got it through status grants by cabinet. Child, I'm still going through the list. Oh, mess. Wow. That's a lot. I'm trying to remember what the numbers were, but I don't think it was as many as 10,000, Miss Brenda, but I do think it was a lot. So someone else said, do you remember when people who were applying for Caymanian status had their photos published in the newspaper and persons were invited to submit valid objections? All gone since certain politicians killed the Caymanian protection law. And then they put a little angry face. Makiva did some serious damage to this country with the stroke of a pen. Someone else says, read the status grants, find out who recommended him. At this time, most politicians submitted names. Was it true? The politicians used the reason for these grants as being directed by the Foreign and Commonwealth Office, that they either grant the applications or the UK would. Child, please. They say, I don't see my name. It looks like it's the only one missing. And they also said, I need to give Uncle Kitchener Solomon credit for that word, surprisation. What? Of course, we're not going to see that person's name because they're a bona fide multi-generation Cayman and they're just being cheeky. Oh, by the way, there's a couple Shettys on here. There's a Vidya Chachanda Sanjiva Shetty. Is that from Shetty's Hospital? Is that Shetty? Vidyad Hara. Is that his name? Hold on. Let's look him up. I'm curious as to, is that Dr. Shetty? Vidya. Oh, no, that's somebody else probably. Oh, no clue. Oh, no, that's Chef Shetty. Oh, okay. That's the other Shetty. Chef Shetty. Okay. So I guess him and his probably wife and child got it then as well. Sigwerts. Bruce Sigworth. Bunch of Simmons, Sinclair, Smith. Bunch of Solomons. Lots of Smiths. Pastor Sykes, why would he need to get it through cabinet? Wouldn't he have been getting it through? Oh, but his wife was the Caymanian. She's a Jamaican, right? So I guess he couldn't have gotten it through her. Interesting. Jared, buenos dias. Your mic is muted.
Yeah, buenos dias.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm trying to like look-y hook up my better camera. Because this one,
Jess says I don't blame him. I'd put a country between her
yeah,
and me.
this one better.
Marshall says even though there was a big status giveaway, sad to say that more than that has been given away since, and that's a lot has slipped through the cracks.
Well, you know, we shouldn't forget why we gave those statuses, because we had very complicated issues where people were in Cayman for a long extenuating time.
No, Jared. No, honey child. Don't go there with me. That wasn't the problem, and that wasn't the solution.
But
because if that was the case,
mm-hmm.
65% of people who got it did not meet that sole criteria alone.
Well,
so they would not have gotten it that way.
True, but you know, it's I guess I'm a very optimistic person because we have a lot of.
I don't mind you being optimistic, but we got to come at some facts now. By the way, stick a pin. Miss Morna says, "See if Dart is on that list." I'm wondering, Miss Morna, you too shady. You know, what are you doing being shady? Shady boots. Look, yeah. Of course, he's on the list. Number 673.
But look what Dot has given us. Let's see. Wait, I got her ticket. Because from what I understood it from my little youthful years.
How old were you then, Jared?
What year? So I am 1997. So probably six turning 7.
Yeah, you don't remember what going on back then.
But yeah, no. But there are a lot of Caymanian names on it too. That
don't mean nothing. I know Bardens that live all the way in the UK and they not got nothing to do with Cayman.
Yeah.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I said, some of them might be people who do, you know, have some 10 years Caymanian, whatever. Maybe they were even married to Caymanian and they chose not to get that route because, you know, the marriage probably in quicksand.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but you know, in Parliament, well, it was formerly Legislative Assembly. They had made a change where people who were married to Caymanians could get like a speedier time to get in.
Well, they would automatically be issued this RERC, so they get that.
Yeah, but you know, pretty much when you got RERC,
but now that has been changed. I think you get PR right away.
Yeah, speaking exactly.
of PR, let's talk about this hot mess of a situation with people not paying their PR fees. Now, you know, this has been going on for donkey years. Into the millions, I understand, of dollars potentially. And as a result, now finally this government, thank you, Chris Saunders. Where's Chris Saunders? He said, hold on a second. Why are we allowing people from 2004, 2005? Now, I want y'all to stick a pin in it. I'm not trying to bring into politics, but I am trying to bring in politics here because politics will be the ruination of the Cayman Islands. Who should I give credit to for ruination? I don't know who came up with that word either. But 41 have been revoked. There are probably another 200 they need to go through. Let's get on it. Revoke them all for non-payment. So you get permanent residency, and some categories of permanent residency require you to pay an annual fee.
Mm-hmm.
These people have been issued some 53 warning letters over a significant period of time. Mm-hmm. Now, Works has said, on directive, no doubt, from this government, enough is enough. We're not making money off of them, but they're getting the benefit of having permanent residency.
Uh-huh.
You know, and after their renewal, the law says, Section 51(1)(m), they have up to 90 days after their annual date to actually pay the fee. So they already give you a little cushion.
But, you know, there's a lot of things that immigration law does not cover. And people, I don't know if that you have instances, and we do have instances where people who get PR, they go overseas for whatever reason. They might be studying or whatever. We're talking about young ones now, because I'm talking about the catchment area of young people who came to Cayman, who never had no say on being brought here. And so they'd be tagged as ghost Caymanians. And so even if they are overseas and they have PR, they still have to pay their fees. Now, if people weren't aware of that, that is where this kerfuffle might happen, but that is a very small percentage. I'm just bringing that up to just say, and I try and...
Yes, but here's the thing. Let me give you a perfect example of how this works, right? I had the equivalent of PR in the US. In other words,
green card.
I got a green card, yes?
Yeah.
When you get a green card, if you leave the United States of America, the US tell you don't need that green card. Straight up. Hand in your green card, because you're no longer a resident here. You don't need it. And if you are temporarily residing overseas, there is a way for you to pay, and you have to pay an annual. You have to renew it and let them know what your status is, where you say, okay, I'm overseas for the purpose of studying for the next 2 years. And this is I think this particular exemption is like a 2-year mark. And every 2 years, you need to tell them what you're doing overseas. Otherwise, you don't need a green card as far as they're concerned. Turn it in. So PR should be the same thing. If you've obtained PR and you're going overseas, other than, I would say, obtaining an education, because that's a fixed period of time. You go in for 2 years, 3 years, whatever. You're supposed to be coming back, right? And if you don't come back in that time, or you decide to permanently remain in the US, UK, say you find somebody, you get married, then you need to write to the Cayman Islands Permanent Residency Board and notify them that you'd be relinquishing your PR. And that's what you need to do. Instead of raking up these annual fees where you're not paying it and you're owing the people of the Cayman Islands the money. Now, here's what Parliamentary Secretary for Labor, the Honorable Dwayne Seymour, had to say. He said the non-payment of PR fees has been an issue since I was elected in Parliament back in 2009. Really? Well, what year are we in now, Jared?
2022. So that's at least
you do the math.
13 years. I'm a businessman, so numbers got come naturally.
Numbers come to you quick. I got to whip up the calculator. 13 years later, you're glad that it's finally being resolved?
But immigration.
Little soul. We never heard him speaking up about this under the Progressives administration. Pure slackness.
I think when we look at it, the Immigration Act and how it carries out, immigration has a lot to do at the end of the day. So as much as they're supposed to be enforcing the laws and getting payments, it's a lot, and I don't think they have enough staff to do what it is that we all expect them to do.
They shouldn't need all this staff in terms of collections if people would just do what they're supposed to do.
But human error and human nature differs, and so that's why it has become a long-standing issue. And I think what happens is that when they get to their 15 year and they get the Caymanian thing, the fees can be collected. But if there's a condition, you see, this is where the law is nice. If there's a condition to say, upon you receiving status and you have not paid any money, as we like to call it money, there will be a review to say that if money not paid, you know what I mean? If money not paid, you could lose it. That's my suggestion. I don't give nobody no ideas. They don't have to take it. But immigration has been a long-standing political ball game. And the thing is, we need people from different countries, yes, with skills and different facets. That's why statuses were implemented, but there were different factors to it. However, it is the people that Cayman chooses to give these statuses to that the problem is, because there doesn't seem to be a stringent vetting process, because we have people in our local community who have defaulted on their civic duty, which is maintain yourself a job, maintain and contribute to the community. That doesn't go away when you become a Caymanian. That is something every Caymanian should uphold. go to jury. I know enough Caymanians afraid to go jury. I don't know why, but you know, it is something. It's our civic duty to play our participatory role in the democracy of the Cayman Islands, and that means, you know, if you're going to matriculate to become a Caymanian PR, you pay your part, literally pay your part. So yeah.
All right, listen here now. Cece, happy birthday.
Oh, it's Cece's birthday.
Everybody, it is Cece's birthday today. If you see Cece out and about, by all means, wish her a happy, happy birthday. We're going to put up your birthday greeting a little bit later on. Child, Cece be looking sexy all over the place with these pictures. Al Ray says, I'm so glad that this is being highlighted and dealt with. PR fees need to be paid now. Aliano come up with his red flags. Moya says, thank you, government. Collect that money and pull us out of debt. And in this instance, that was the right move. So listen, not only do permanent residency holders have to pay this annual fee, but they're also responsible for an annual declaration as mandated by Section 3712 of the Immigration Transition Act 2021. So if you don't know, you need to know. If you have PR, folks, it's your obligation to know what your responsibilities are. Nobody else should be chasing you to do what you need to do. So PR holders' failure to provide this annual declaration to works is both an offense and cause for revocation of the PR certificate as well. So let's see what that section of the law actually says, because I don't know what the declaration, what you're declaring.
So your declaration is more or less your actions. If there's been any changes to living, accommodation, what you're doing, job, immigration just pretty much want to know that you're still a living person. And
okay,
you're
so
doing
let's see here. Let's check out the declaration then. So here is the thing, folks. Okay, so section 12, what's this subsection? Let me see where we're at. 3712, persons legally and ordinarily resident in the island for at least 10 years. So it has a subsection here that says the holder of a certificate issued under subsection 5 or section 41 or 42 to provide annually a declaration containing prescribed particulars in respect of the holder and the holder's dependents, and the holder's failure to provide such a declaration is both an offense and a ground for revocation. So I don't know exactly what particulars they're asking for, but I guess if you need a clarification on that, then, you know, you should know how to get that. Let me just see here now. Let me find out. Let me just ask what particulars they are looking for. So yes, I'm glad that they've revoked it. Now, someone said to me yesterday that basically they just pay the fee and they can be reinstated almost as though it's an automated process. And I've been told, no, that is not correct. They have this very reliable source has say that if they pay it, they can ask the board to reinstate their permanent residency. And to their knowledge, not very many are successful because, you know, once you're in arrears, I guess the question is, if you apply to get a particular status, it's going to benefit you. It is benefiting you. And you don't find the coins to pay for it, then.
But it can be a lot of money still, you know. I'm not going to lie. But,
hello.
No, but listen, I don't know if expensive it came by.
Jared.
Yeah.
Jared. Say you go to the United States of America.
Boy, they don't play, boy. They want that money.
Excuse me. So we have a standard of what happens with U.S. immigration that came out.
The U.S. don't play.
Exactly. Even to apply, everything is a big time application fee. And if you don't have the money, you can't play in the game.
True.
So if status comes with, if residency comes with an annual fee, you know what that is before you apply. If you cannot afford it, then you don't apply. and you certainly don't take it. You don't apply and take it knowing full well you can't afford it. Go, do something else. Stay on a work permit, because then the work permit isn't your responsibility. It's somebody else's responsibility. But you see, the truth of the matter is they're saving on work permit fees. A lot of people get PR with rights to work and all kind of stuff.
I have a question. People who are married to Caymanians, do they have to pay fees?
They don't pay. There's no attached fee to their PR.
And that explains the issue, what has been happening in terms of why you were saying, you say, because you gotta know the law. But that is
one of the issues. Marriage of convenience has many conveniences, apparently.
Yeah.
So one of it is that you don't pay any such fees. I think most forms have, I'm trying to remember if there's a filing fee.
Yeah, there is.
Let me have a look at C28. Most forms, I think, do come with like a filing fee, which is a processing fee. Yeah, so so when you're applying for a right to be Caymanian, for example, so that would be after you've had your permanent residency and then you,
5 years.
Go married. That fee is $250. And then once you get it, I mean, there's no other attached fee. So that's just
no. When you get it, you gotta pay for a fee for that to get it. As a matter of fact,
for what? For status?
Not for status, for PR. So if you pay the application fee.
No. I'm talking about people who are married to
Caymanians. Oh no, I think it's just that.
RERC, there'd be an application fee.
Yeah.
For the RERC, just like this C28 has an application fee. And then there's nothing else after that. So the person can hold that residency for 7 years and they're not paying an annual fee.
I have a question as well. Now, because BOTC is attached to that. Because it is a condition that once you hold the PR for 1 year, you can apply for BOTC. And then after BOTC,
well, I don't think that's the case anymore. I think that from what I understand, you can apply for naturalization separate and apart from being
Caymanian.
So you don't even have to have Caymanian status. Somebody was sent me something the other day because somebody had posted something about their naturalization. They're like, "Oh, look, I'm getting naturalization, blah blah blah." And then a Caymanian sent to me and said, "Oh, look at what we're doing." And I'm like, "Well, we don't have nothing to do with naturalization. That's a UK process. We don't naturalize people."
Yeah, but
if someone has been naturalized,
it's a hard one.
That has nothing to do with us.
Yeah.
So y'all can't be getting upset with your local politicians over that.
No, the reason why I say it could be a problem for immigration department.
So 5 years after naturalization,
you can get your status because you have to apply to the board specifically.
No. So 5 years after naturalization, so you can get naturalization first.
Yeah.
Or immediately if a person has been resident for 15 years, that's how status works.
That does not apply to the students. They would apply for Cayman when they turn. That's a different category, Miss Magdalene. Because there's different.
That does not apply to students. That's for people connected to. I guess if they have a right to apply for Caymanian status when they're 18, the law should be changed. If you want Cayman status and denounce your present citizenship, you'll have less applications, full stop. I'm sure. Although some people where they're coming from, that current status or citizenship probably don't mean much to them anyway, but point taken.
I would answer Miss Archer's question on that. So in Jamaica, right? If you give up your Jamaican citizenship, you know that if you travel on a Cayman passport, you have to get a Jamaican visa. But I'm just talking for the Jamaicans here. No, something.
Well, that is her point. Miss Brenda's point is saying, why are we making it so easy?
No, but then why would you make it then so hard? Well, okay, we understand. Okay, let's not.
That is Miss Brenda's point. Make it harder and less attractive, and you'll find less people having the desire to take advantage of the system.
Okay, true. Those people who take advantage of the system, I do say, okay, slap on the wrist, right? But you see, there is a founded privilege when people enjoy your country and they say, you know what, I may have this other citizenship, but I'm more likely to rock with Cayman, right? Because people who put a certain amount of time in Cayman kind of easily get PR in Cayman. It's I think 8 years or 7 years. So the thing is, the more harder you make it, the immigration law, the downside effect is that we may see losing very skilled people, right? Because it's not as if we have a continuous supply of skilled people coming up. Not saying that that isn't happening now, but from a global standpoint, from Cayman is the best because we get the best, and to maintain the best, we have to select and choose the best. So we have to be careful on how stringent we become with the immigration law, to the point that it makes Cayman struggle 50 years down the line. So I'm not saying that we can't have rules and regulations. I'm just saying, think 20, 50 years down the line, because it's not going to be, sorry to say, I'll say it like this for my young people, and I'm going to be the people in 50 and up around there. Around, yeah.
Moya says that if they can't afford the PR fee, because you think Cayman is expensive, then Cayman is not the place for you. Reevaluate and relocate to somewhere else that suits your pocket. Louis says decriminalization of cannabis brings application fees. What? Brings application fees to get a medical card. What does that have to do with immigration? So Tracy says, after 7 years married to Cayman, and what happens? Do you have to get another stamp for 7 years or apply for PR? What you need to do is you need to actually apply for status at that time.
Yeah.
You can get naturalized at the same time, because like I said, the two are not connected in that way, but you're eligible to apply for status. So check it out. It's form C28. Moya says the rights to work needs to be temporary for 1 year, and then you have to reapply after 1 year, providing evidence of the status of the union. The same process that the U.S. has for non-Americans applying under their spouse needs to be adopted here. Non-American. But when you get a green card through marriage, that's actually a priority category in the U.S. And you don't apply once you get the green card. Theoretically, that green card, well, it used to be that green cards didn't have an expiration date. Now that changed, and they're now good. If my memory serves me correctly, they're good for 10 years. And then every 10 years, you either renew it, because they figure by that point, 10 years in, you should be on your path to deciding whether you want to be an American citizen, and you should apply on that basis. Deep Blue TC says, Jared, stop making excuses for everybody that shows up here. If they can't afford to pay, don't get it.
Well, okay, I would take the shots. I'm a grown person. I would take the shots.
Yeah, because you know you're wrong. I mean, you take the shots when you know you're wrong. If you can't afford it, you can't afford it.
Yeah.
Moya makes a good point. She says immigration needs to add 2 more divisions to only deal with uncollected fees and verification for marriage applications, and follow up on the status of the union to ensure it's legitimate. If after 1, 2, or 4 years, the couple are not living together. Now, here's the thing with this, Moya. It is a legal responsibility, right, for persons who apply for state residency. It was RERC now, which is residency, based on marriage, to update immigration. So the law puts the responsibility on the Caymanian spouse to update immigration by way of, because when you first file for it, you do a declaration and blah, blah, blah. And you actually say, if the status of this union changes, you are supposed to inform immigration. So immigration shouldn't be out there checking every Tom, Dick, and whoever getting married to see whether or not y'all still living together and do an investigation, how many girlfriends you got on the side, all this kind of stuff. Because the Caymanian spouse's responsibility is to inform immigration if that marriage status changes in any way. And a change includes if you're not residing in the same household, because that's part of your declaration that you reside together. Because normally married people live together and they share the same, bed and that sort of thing. So if those things change, folks, you are responsible as a Caymanian partner. And in fact, to the best of my knowledge, you're committing an offense if you do not do so. Y'all be careful now. Know the law. Cayman Blue Sea, Deep Blue Sea says Cayman, unfortunately, cannot be compared to the U.S. when it comes to laws. We have plenty of laws. We don't enforce the laws, and the U.S. enforces their laws. Well, sometimes they do. Sometimes. What a mess. So congratulations to the government. Revoke some more. Keep revoking them. If you've not paid for years, and I think these actually go back to like 2004 or whatever, keep revoking them. Revoke them all as far as I'm concerned.
Well, the only downside to that is
There's not a downside to that.
22 years ago, because that person could, well, you know, the other thing as well, because you said, thing with the law is that that person could have a Kimanian child. So even if you do revoke it, that person who has a Kiman, you see the thing? This is
that's why I call them anchor babies. That's why I call them anchor babies, because then that person gets to remain here until the child is 18 anyway. But that's not the PR that attaches a fee. So let's be very careful here. There's different types of PR. So the one that you get with marriage and that sort of thing, that's a totally different PR, and that's not an annual fee. Right?
No, that's not an annual fee.
So the ones for the annual fee, you know how you got it, PR with rights to work and all this other stuff, independent means, whatever. If you claim you got independent means, you better find some independent money to pay that bill. Brenda says to stop drinking the Kool-Aid, Jared.
I'm just a global person. Just a global person.
Andrea says, if I remember correctly, the issue came about and then the Privy Council stepped in and removed the 7-year stipulation.
Because
I don't know about that. Which issue? Which 7 years? There's still limitations in place of when you can apply for stuff and when you can get stuff. Sounds like we need an immigration expert on here, like a lawyer or something, to kind of go through some of the immigration laws for us. That would be nice. All right. What else was in the news today? Let me just have a quick look at our news headlines. Did you see this one, Jared, that a Maryland man received the first successful pig heart transplant?
Wow.
I don't think it's the first ever pig transplant, because I think we've been using pigs for like a really long time. This one is a genetically modified pig heart transplant. And here's the most interesting thing about this. This pig was created for the sole purpose of providing its heart. Yeah, so this is a 1-year-old pig, 240 pounds, gene edited and bred specifically for the purpose of the 9-hour surgery.
Wow, that's groundbreaking. It's quite innovative.
Yeah, so this is significant because scientists have been working for quite some time, decades, to figure out how to save human lives with organs from animals. So this has been said to be a breakthrough surgery and brings the human race one step closer to solving the organ shortage crises. Because, it's really, if you've ever needed an organ, you're on a list that is like very, very lengthy, and most people die without ever getting an organ, because there's a lot of people who don't realize that they can be organ donors, and they don't, sign up to be an organ donor should you meet an accident or whatever, and they can save some of your organs. And a lot of organs can be saved when you die. It depends on how you die. They have to move very, very quickly. So they can take eyes and kidneys and all sorts of stuff and hearts, but there is a humongous waiting list. So one well-placed physician says, we've used pig heart valves for a long time in valvular heart surgery. So I feel like they've been using parts of pigs. Now, what is it about the pig that makes them
the best candidate?
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering, like, why a pig versus
another human being?
Yeah, like, I don't know.
I guess because limited supply of human beings. Are they
genetically somehow, like, pig hearts are very close to human hearts? Like, it sounds a little bit weird, to be honest, but are we not into chimpanzees? Can we not use a chimpanzee part? Because aren't they genetically almost the same as us? I'm just asking. I mean, I don't know the questions, any of this. I'm just curious. Aliano says, Sandra, make the man make his point and don't cut him off. What was your point? What was your point? I
wasn't making it a point. I think because he noticed everybody was saying, "Oh, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid." So,
well, he admitted he was just going to accept that, Aliano, that maybe he is drinking a little bit of Kool-Aid. El Rey says, a Jesus pig. What does that mean? Oh, I have a question about the whole pig transplant thing, right? So here's a hypothetical question. Say you're a non-pork eater, and there's a lot of people who don't eat pork for religious reasons or whatever. Would you accept a heart from a pig?
Me?
No, I'm just saying. I'm throwing this question out there. Anybody in the audience who might be like Seventh-day Adventists, they don't eat pork. Jewish people, they don't eat pork. So if you don't eat pork, and the only thing that could save your life was a heart from a piggy, would you take it? Because then you have a part of a pork pig in you, like that's pork.
Would there be a difference though? Because you can't see it. It'd just be a personal preference at the end. No, like nobody would know. You know what I mean? So if you were going to die, right? Say tomorrow, and somebody say, yo, try this little pork heart, yeah. Nobody would know. So it's unless you market it out to the world, that's how people would know. So it's a personal opinion, but I would rather a human being heart, just so we're clear. But that's groundbreaking though.
So this person says the humans would probably be better behaved if we were to put human hearts in the pigs. The pigs would probably behave atrociously. Someone else says, in my opinion, your guests need to realize that Cayman is not desperate in attracting good quality people.
That is not true. For every good person we have, I can tell you there is probably 100. It is an assertion. It's very.
No, they're saying that we're not desperate to attract them.
No, we are not, but we are in need of certain services, which for most of the time,
have more than abundance of.
Yeah, right. So it's just maintaining that, So we don't have to get very sensitive. It's not about sensitive. It's just a matter of, national pride. We can all attest that we have a strong national pride for Cayman, and we are very particular about the people we let in. And we get cheesed when people do not adhere to the rules of the national pride that we have for Cayman. So that is what I will sum it up to. Okay. And I will sum it up to a little Kool-Aid. So yes.
All right. Someone says the comment about the fee being high is irrelevant. The fee is based on occupation. So the more professional the fee, the more professional the occupation, the higher the fee. Mm-hmm. Lenny says, yes, the hearts are similar to those of humans, and we use fetal pigs to dissect in high school anatomy and physiology class rather than frogs. Oh, you do? Child, back in my day, we were still doing frogs, and I was not in biology. I let my biology lab partner. I'm like, you dissect the frog. I'm really not that interested. I would just look and be disgusted by the whole thing, but I was not. You handle the little, the scalpel. You do that. I enjoy the field of medicine, but when it comes to like dissecting stuff, that's kind of where I'm like, maybe this is where the line is drawn. Dawn says, hell no. Michelin says pork heart. Is that the same thing as a pork belly? All right. So I don't know. Is there a link for the list? Oh, yes, honey child. I can send you the list of status grants from 2003 or where. I can send that to you. That's not a problem. What a hot mess. So pig heart anatomy is very similar to human heart. Professor Paul Ramphal of the University of the West Indies created a simulator to train heart surgeons using a pig heart. Here's the TED Talk. Oh, that's interesting. He's a Jamaican cardiac surgeon who works in the Bahamas, designed and created the world's first cardiac surgery simulator for open heart surgery at UE. He chronicles the development of his device, and he's now also a professor of surgery at the University of North Carolina.
So just to pick on people, see, that is a Jamaican in Bahamas in the States. You know the advantages that you could have if you have somebody who has expertise in the. I leave this topic because they're not going to let me rest with this one.
Yeah. No, but I mean the point being this, very, very clearly, is that you can attract good quality people, but I think what the person even in WhatsApp was saying is a lot of those people want to come to Cayman anyway because we have a lifestyle that a lot of people want. And despite people complaining about the expense of living here, you find that most people want to be here.
Yeah, the safety, good economy. All the BOTCs share that too. So if other people, not considering Cayman, there's Bermuda, there's Turks and Caicos, there's Anguilla, there's Montserrat.
Yeah.
And
now, mind you, Turks and Caicos is really
that's a different
doing
one,
a number on us when it comes to certain things, and we're going to talk about that in the coming weeks because people would be interested to know that they are running some serious competition with Cayman.
Tourism.
Not just tourism.
What? Financial services?
Not really financial services, but tourism and real estate in particular.
But okay, that is a good topic to go into. But the issue that we have with real estate is that we have people who buy up the land and locals don't get it because it's too overpriced. So TCI has a lot of islands. So where it might be advantageous for them.
No, this is foreigners coming in and purchasing overpriced land, even in TCI.
And they're having that issue too. So they're probably having to set some.
Well, I don't know how locals in TCI feel about the situation, but they're selling a lot of prime real estate to foreign investors or foreigners as well. So I'd be interested to speaking of what is happening elsewhere in the Caribbean, folks. Make sure you tune in tomorrow evening. We're going to start simulcasting the show, Territories Talk.
Hello, everyone. I am Fiona Alexander Smith from Montserrat, inviting you to join Territories Talk this Wednesday, January 12. Two very special guests, Premier of Montserrat, Honorable Joseph E. Farrell, and Premier of the Virgin Islands, Honorable Andrew Foy, will be discussing the topic, Unifying the Overseas Territories. Territories Talk will be live and interactive on the Territories Talk Facebook and YouTube pages, starting at 7:30 p.m. in the Eastern Caribbean, Bermuda, and the British Virgin Islands, 6:30 p.m. in the Cayman Islands, the Turks and Caicos Islands, and Jamaica. You will be able to submit questions and comments for the Honorable Premiers to respond to. It will be simulcast on Bermuda's Channel 82, ZGB Radio in Montserrat, 95.5 FM, Cayman Mall Road Facebook page, and CBN Radio 90.9 FM in the Virgin Islands. Join Territories Talk as they continue to inform and unite our OT family.
All right, folks, that's going to be 6:30 p.m. Tomorrow, so make sure you tune in for that. Moya, thank you, says either way, some resources and individuals need to be sent to learn both sets of immigration laws extensively and bring Cayman up to speed to give us more protection for marriages of convenience. I keep telling you guys that unfortunately the real solution for marriages of convenience is for the individuals themselves to understand the detriment that they are engaging in. They're not really helping themselves even because they end up bringing in the lowest of the lowest who's simply going to use them, embarrass them, go out having husbands here and women on the side, all kind of foolishness. So if they're going to treat you like that and you're kind of doing them a favor by giving them opportunities, imagine what the future holds, right? It's just a hot mess. I mean, somebody was saying, even that young man who died in a car accident the other day, that was a marriage of convenience because despite his wife posting that they'd been married for 18 years, they were obviously not even living together. He here bringing down a woman from Jamaica to spend the Christmas holidays with him. And that's the woman who ended up in the hospital now almost losing her life. I'm just saying, these are the things that the streets are constantly talking about, right? Anyway, folks, Aliano says immigration issues a two-edged sword. Yes, bring them or open the door for better. We will the back end of the sword, which will be a negative impact in the long run. I think it's all about balance and control. Union, I don't know where they are, but
that's a good question.
They would have to, if they are on island and they have been paying their PR fees, then yes, they would need to regularize their status, which may mean now applying for a work permit. Here's the interesting thing. I wonder now that this government has fired a shot, ba-boom, how many are going to run out there who are in arrears outside of the 41 and get that fee paid real quick? And they probably owe years of, this is the thing, right? Because it's an annual fee. So if you've owed since 2004, how many years that is now? That's a lot of money potentially.
That's too many.
That's 12 years?
No, that almost 16, 17.
Well, whatever it is, that's a lot of fees.
16,
and
I think it's up
chances
there.
are, if you couldn't pay 1 year, you're not gonna be able to pay 10 plus years of that. So, it's a hot mess.
But the government are going to kick them out. I open to know that because the government going to kind of give them a chance. Look how long it took to get my lady off of the road.
That's because she's sanctified, boy. What's wrong with you?
I don't want to throw that below the belt, but I just saying.
She is sanctified.
But yeah.
And now apparently she's trying to perform for the police commissioner. Somebody said the police commissioner was in Elizabethan Square. I don't think they're there any longer. I think they're now over at the Royal Bank building, and that's why she's moved. She's very strategic. I must tell you, is
she out?
Yeah, she was out from Friday.
Oh.
Messaging me Friday evening.
Okay. So I guess those charges won't hold then. Okay, I see how the. But I hope they know that if we see anything happen again, we will be making concerns to the government because something gonna happen. Because you see the thing, allegedly, if it is the case that she is claiming to be something that she is not, that is actually abusing the law. So it's either one thing or another. But anyway, yeah.
Folks, thank you guys so much for tuning in to the program. Always great to have you here. As usual, Jared, we appreciate you jumping onto the stream. When do you say you're coming back from Canada?
Well, I told you, to be honest, I haven't told my mom, so I can't really say publicly. Because I know someone probably will run and tell her. So it could be 6 months, it could be 2 months, it could be I'll put it as that just so that the word don't, because the Mall Road very good. The Mall Road is like the Cayman Islands CI Central Intelligence. I swear, y'all are just too good. So I got, but it should be soon. You never know.
Okay. Well, we're not gonna dig too deep into that response.
Has the government decided to put it to 48 hours, or are they still sticking to the 24 hours?
24 hours, son. 24 hours.
Okay. So we'll see. All right. Thank you for having me.
Yes, as always, we appreciate you coming on. Folks, have a beautiful evening. How can one owe so much money for their PR? That's how the government makes their money. Well, child, that's part of the problem. That's why they need to yank it from all of them who haven't been paying it, to be quite frank. I think it's a good move, and it might encourage people to step up to the plate and do what they know they got to do. It is what it is, folks. All right, we're into overtime. I've got a business Zoom call at 10:30, and I've got another appointment at 11 o'clock. So I need to hit the road. Tomorrow will be the opening of the, what's it called? The opening of the courts, the Grand Court. Oh, gosh, what's the ceremony called? Hold on, let me tell you the official name. Let's get it right. Opening of the courts. Well, there you go. That was it. Okay. I thought it was a more professional name than that. Again, folks, there is a $10,000 reward being offered for anyone who can assist with the capture and successful prosecution of 2 men who were wanted in a hate crime that occurred last week, Monday, in the Strand. Paul, thank you. Good to see you here joining us from Bermuda. I love when the people from the other islands jump in. Make sure you guys jump in tomorrow evening at 6:30 Cayman time for Territories Talk, which is a regional show now. We're jumping onto their show basically, and they're simulcasting it on our platform. So you guys make sure that you tune in for that. Have a beautiful day, folks. It's Tuesday again, January the 11th. And I trust that you guys have a successful, prosperous, and happy Tuesday. See you tomorrow morning.
Thank you for tuning in to another edition of The Cold Hard Truth. Make sure to check Facebook for showtimes and more information and the latest news at CaymanMarlRoad.com. Subscribe to our IG and Facebook pages to get the latest happenings.